I was doing some research and took a look at Russia and where Russia is on the map. Then I saw a 1771 map showing the land that we know as Tartaria, or Tartary. Well, then I saw that Tartaria's flag had a dragon on it, and I thought that was interesting. And then I went to check Russia's flag, and theirs had a horse. Wait, the horse is standing on? What is that? Don't tell me that is a dragon. Thank you for joining me for episode 24 of my lunch break. I hope you're all having a great day. And if you're new, welcome. Let's start off with the Cincinnati Music Hall. And who built this thing in 1878? Samuel Hannaford and Sons? Haven't we heard of this crazy group before? Yeah, we have. In our very last episode, actually. Episode 23. So we already know there's something weird going on with this building and this Samuel group. And we don't have to get too far into that in this episode, but let's do a quick recap on these guys for anyone that missed the last episode. They are led by a 23-year-old master builder that designs and builds the most incredible architecture in the whole world in the 1800s in Ohio. And he is never mentioned in any news articles until years after the buildings are completed, which is totally normal and acceptable. Oh, it isn't? No, it isn't. Samuel Hannaford and Sons Construction Company did not have any known records until 1896, when a newspaper finally mentioned them. But they were supposedly off building tons of buildings before then. Okay, we're all caught up, and let's attack this narrative even further. The Music Hall in Cincinnati, Ohio. The construction of the Cincinnati Music Hall took approximately 2 years. The building process began in 1876 and was completed in 1878. Simple construction in the 1800s, of course. Oh, right, I forgot. Massive construction projects were just thrown together in 24 months in the 1800s. What are we reading here? 24 months? In a time where horse-drawn carriages, wagons, and carts were commonly used for local transportation, both for personal travel and the transport of goods. Who believes this type of civilization was capable of constructing something like this in a time frame that we would struggle with today? I think they would have built this faster than our current civilization if this story is true. Could you imagine? All right, honey, I'm leaving for work in my horse and wagon. I'll be back at 5. I'm off to build this 158-foot-high music hall that includes an iconic bell tower and spire. Me and a couple sons will get this thing done, no problem, in under 24 months. Hope there isn't any traffic on my way there. What a joke. The Cincinnati Music Hall has a total seating capacity of around 3,516. Are you on the fence? If it's still an old world building? Should I continue and help you over the fence? The music hall was completed in 1878, supposedly. What do you think happened 2 years later? Take a guess. The fire resulted in significant damage to the interior of the building, including the destruction of the original auditorium. However, the exterior structure largely survived, and the music hall was subsequently restored and rebuilt. Okay, so we have another fire burned down the building story. And remember, this is always the clear giveaway. The fire story is so repetitive, but it is key to our research. It gives the whole thing away, and this building is from the old world. Time and time again, they supposedly construct these incredible buildings. And in a few short months later, the building is said to have had so much fire damage that it needed a complete renovation. Over and over, they say this, all over the world. And of course, there was not a fire. There was not a huge master renovation. This is the building right here. This is the original building. So built in 1878, supposedly. Fire in the music hall in 1880, supposedly. And the rest of the old world town got burnt down 4 years later. The Burn District fire destroyed pretty much the entire downtown area. Just unbelievable. So not only did the city hall burn down, but the entire downtown area also in 4 years? After all these strange occurrences with the Samuel Hannafords and Sons Company, I couldn't be more certain that they were a front for these buildings. It is right in our faces. All of the key giveaways are there that show these buildings are built by a previous civilization. And they should be taken care of and looked at with open eyes the next time you see one. They are incredible structures that stand the test of time, unlike anything that we would build today. They were not built in the 1800s, in my opinion. They were built by a much more advanced civilization. Should we note another fire? A much more recent fire? The fire at the Cathedral of Notre Dame. in Paris on April 15th, 2019. It is believed to have started accidentally. The initial investigation indicated that the fire originated in the attic space of the cathedral. It was speculated that the fire was sparked by an electrical short circuit that occurred within the ancient wooden framework of the roof. Whoops, accidentally burnt down another old world incredible structure. It's just sad, to be honest. Whoever was in charge of burning our buildings down in the 1800s seems to still enjoy lighting them up. Should we enter Australia? Let's do it. The Royal Exhibition Building. The construction of this building supposedly started in 1879. I wonder how long this took to build. Any guesses? I wish we could have a live chat going to see what you would all say. Well, the right answer is 1 year. Construction started in 1879 and finished right up in only 1 year, which is totally logical, and we all believe that. Oh, we don't? And a fire, of course, because we have to make sure that that goes into the narrative. Can I ask, is this like a rule that they have to put a fire narrative into the story? There is no way that every single one of these buildings that are built in a year have some sort of fire. Not every single house on the block has a fire that burns down the whole thing. The chances that they all start on fire are none. There is no chance. At the time of its completion in 1880, this was one of the largest buildings in the world, and built in just 1 year. Oh, and remember, just to drive this home, this was for the Melbourne International Exhibition. So not only did they throw this thing up in 1 year, they also built many other buildings at the exact same time. So simple in 1879. Some still stand today. The Victorian Supreme Court, the Carlton Gardens, the Melbourne Museum. I hope this helps clear things up for everyone. This type of construction is not an easy task today, let alone in 1879. There are so many questions to still be answered, but this is just getting so obvious that nobody in the 1800s built these buildings, and especially in only 1 year. It isn't logical thinking to really believe that. One construction company can throw up all of these buildings in 1 year? Or which construction company? Or which construction companies? Who believes this? Believing that narrative, after seeing the countless fire stories from Ohio to Chicago to Australia and over to Europe and everywhere else in the world, believing that narrative is just indoctrination to the core. We all are allowed to think for ourselves. Just imagine this being built by a community that had horses and wagons as their main source of transportation in just 1 year. It isn't logical thinking. In my opinion, we are being lied to, and it's time to realize it. And we have a bonus today. We are going to go to India for the bonus. I wanted to show you all the Karla Caves. These are rock-cut caves. These date back 2,000 years to the year 160 BCE, so they say. Now, who actually believes this? If you do believe this, then you are admitting that we cannot build the way people used to build. Just because it's ancient does not mean you can just brush it off. It doesn't just get a pass. Oh, that cave is ancient and too old, so we don't need to think about it. On this channel, I am suggesting that our timeline for this batch of humans that are currently here began around 300 years ago. These caves could have been built at any point before 300 years ago. And no, not by aliens. This was built by humans, a previous civilization that had technology that surpasses ours by miles. If they could build like this, and it's still here, then what else did they have? What other technology did they have with them every day? The buildings and architecture are proof that there were civilizations before us that were superior. The knowledge is gone. When I say we don't build like this anymore, we don't. Our civilization never did. Previous civilizations did. We are realizing this now. You have to ask yourself, why could they build like this 2,000 years ago? And we have never built like this in our entire lifetimes. And we most likely never will. This knowledge will be held away from us. Our buildings crumble with time. The ancient buildings don't go anywhere. They are here to be discovered by the next civilization. Why do you think our buildings are not built with stone? Would the narrator want to have to redo all of the stories to add us in for the next batch of people? These are just honest points. Points that people need to hear to see what is going on around them. There were 100% previous civilizations, in my opinion. The buildings prove this. And I'm just going to share something else because I have so many tabs open. And I need to share this stuff with everyone. And I've been meaning to speak on this for a while. The Grand Library of Alexandria in Alexandria, Egypt, was one of the largest and most significant libraries in the ancient world. Most of us have heard about it by now. It was burned to the ground, all of the books, said to have had 400,000 scrolls, equivalent to around 100,000 books. So a lot of information burned to the ground in the year of 48 BCE. Now, is this story real? Who knows? It was like 2,000 years ago, supposedly. And we know how they make up stories by now. But even if this story isn't real, there is a point that we have to understand. I'm sure 100,000 books have been burned that had knowledge that would be incredible for us today. Who's to say just one library was burned? Think about the amount of information that we as a civilization are not allowed to know about now. With this being said, I'm going to close this episode off with this. Our current civilization honestly doesn't buy any books anymore. Do any of us read books regularly? Or do we read information that is on a digital screen? Do we listen to presentations like this episode today for our information? What would happen if the digital database of information was gone tomorrow? We save videos that we like. We save links on our phone and computers. What would happen if that all went away? My point is this. What's to say this hasn't happened before? Hundreds of times. Our history that we have been taught is clearly not true. It mocks us at every turn. Fake characters and a bunch of nonsense. In my opinion, we are living in a time where whoever wants to is able to slowly awaken from the nonsense. At this point in time, you're able to see through the veil, but only if you choose to. Don't forget, there's a bunch of brand new t-shirts and hoodies that just came out. You can find that right below the video. Every purchase really helps support the channel, as well as when you like the video, comment, and when you subscribe to the channel. I couldn't be more thankful for all of you and all of your support that you guys are giving. Our Twitter account is up and running, and we are over on Rumble as well. Both of those links will be in the description below. If you have anything else to add, or any thoughts on the video, or have any ideas for future videos, just put that in the comments below. Thank you all for your support, and I hope you all have a great day. I will be back very soon with much more. See ya.